Okay, T's Weird Week News. Hey everyone, I'm T. Krulos.
I'm Heidi Erickson.
Big week, exciting week, and some exciting topics to talk about.
Very exciting.
I think we're going to dive right into it because in the opening segment of the show, if you listen to the podcast, which is out on Friday, something I'm going to talk briefly about in the beginning of that podcast is a story about Rex Jones, who is the son of Alex Jones, the famous conspiracy peddler and just all around pretty wretched person.
I can't believe he procreated. That's so scary.
And
Uh,
Rex, like father, like son, he knows the routine that he learned from his father, which is he needs to get angry and outraged about cultural issues that have
sure,
divided this society so deeply.
sure.
So this got pointed out to me because it's funny. He got super mad about Lord of the Rings erotica was mentioned, but the thing that they really were mad about him and his co-host on this InfoWars show was that the Token Society is having an online seminar next month, July 3rd and 4th. I'm actually grateful because I didn't know about this. So some of these talks sound very interesting. It's free to watch online.
Ooh.
And the theme for their seminar this year is token and diversity, which is an interesting topic because, a lot of people have criticized his work as not being very diverse because it's not.
Sure.
So, but I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I might add. I'm
I would never would have guessed that about you too.
oh really, yeah. I am a total ringer, is what Lord of the Rings fans are called. Ringer all the way.
Sure.
So, I mean, a lot of the talks, whatever, but here is what Rex Jones and company were so angry about some of the talks. So, for example, one of the seminars is titled Gondor in Transition, a brief intro to transgender realities in Lord of the Rings. There's another one called Pardoning Saruman, the queer in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And for some reason, they were upset about this one. The Invisible Other, Tolkien's Dwarf Women, and the Feminine Lack. So, I mean, these sound interesting to me, and I don't
Yeah.
quite know what they're about. So, I find it very funny that they're getting super angry about a lecture that they haven't heard,
Sure.
and it's not quite clear what they're about. But of course, they're saying that this is an attack on their values, and obviously, Rex is he has some deeply withdrawn, I think, erotic ideas about elf men himself, and that's why he's so angry.
That's fair. My feelings about elf men also from time to time make me very cranky, so I can relate to that very, very much. But I mean, okay, here's the thing though. It's like, okay, I go to the gym, I'm always stuck behind the big screen TV that's playing, and they're so Orwellian, like in the fight against wokeness, and like there's this invisible enemy, and that enemy is the evolution of our society and being more inclusive. Um, Tolkien didn't necessarily have those ideas in his brain when he wrote them, because like when was the Lord of the Rings written? Oh,
It was after World War II, so
sure.
I want to say sometime between the late 40s and the early 60s.
Right. And now Tolkien was a linguist. He was a big time like linguist nerd and a historian, and he studied cultures a lot. And it is interesting that like canonically in Lord of the Rings, dwarven women had beards. They were very masculine. They didn't fit the standard idea of what our culture regards as feminine, and elven men did not fit the standard definition of what our culture regards as masculine. And yet like elven men were very much warriors and heroes, and that was all a thing. And Tolkien's work has had a massive impact on our culture. Western culture that is so formative, and it's really important that people look at that and understand where our stuff in our culture comes from. Like I think that's important. I don't think it doesn't feel forced to me to do it, is what I'm saying. I think it's fair and an academic pursuit for them to have those talks and look at those things. I think that's very, very reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it sounds very interesting to hear those perspectives. And like I say, it's really hard to have an angry or happy reaction to something until you hear it. So, I don't know what these talks are about, but I'm sure they're interesting. I put the website on the screen, by the way. Tokensociety.org is where you can go to find out more about that group and their free online seminar.
Now, Junior Frogman was, in fact, upset about some of the fan fiction, about some of the Tolkien fan fiction. That was what drew me to that article. Was they had some very interesting illustrations up behind them on the Infowars segment.
Yes.
Because a lot of this fan fiction, like all fan
That they
fiction,
just happen to have ready, by the way.
right? Weird. That's super. Must have fallen out of their Bible. Because this fan fiction was homoerotic. It was homoerotic fan fiction. I wonder if they would have been as upset if it had been heterosexual fan fiction like erotica.
Right.
I think they were specifically upset because it was homosexual fiction. But
Yeah.
that seems silly and ridiculous, like a weird thing to be upset about, this fan fiction. But it's because Tolkien had such a huge impact on our society. And so the idea of Frodo and Samwise Gamgee getting it on in the back room and at the Shire behind the prancing pony is just very upsetting to some people because they don't like the idea of their heroes being so different from them. Right? And so
Yeah, I mean it's fanfic. It's
like, is that
it's reached so many people that people love these characters and they want the story to keep going, and of course they
right?
adapt those to what they find attractive or interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would get upset about it, other than the fact that of course you're homophobic, transphobic, but
Right.
you know. But this is, like I say, he's totally following in the footsteps of his father. His father is really good at that, finding something that looks like a cultural attack and then getting super angry and pounding his fist on the desk and ranting and raving and screaming.
It's lucrative. It's
Yes,
a very
exactly.
lucrative pursuit.
Exactly. He's a
Sure.
millionaire. He's made millions of dollars off of drawing people to his website. And while they're there, he gives them a heavy pitch on his shitty nutritional supplements,
Yeah.
which are basic household things you can find, but he's given them fancy names like a Alpha Force male vitality pill, when really it's just like
Cool.
iodine.
You need your iodine tea. That's fair.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a masculine, manly man. That super happened. And like, okay, that's another one of those things that you want to just laugh about and be like, haha, that's so silly that Frogman Jr. is super upset about, whatever, whomever it is boning whomever in the Lord of the Rings situations that he accidentally found when he was in the back of the bus on his way to Bible study. That's fine. But it is a big deal, actually. Just not unlike another thing that happened this week, my favorite story of the entire week,
Yes.
which was, this is what happened. So they're making this show, this Harley Quinn animated series. And I forget, I think HBO is making it. I don't remember who's making the
Yes,
show.
I saw the first 2 seasons. It's really
Did you?
funny. It's really good. Yeah.
Well, I think it's being done, if I'm not mistaken, by some of the same people who did the Batman animated series. And the Batman animated series, in my opinion, is the best version of Batman of all the media portrayals of Batman. I think it was the best written. I think they're the best developed characters. And this, of course, is being done by a cable network. That's not even a thing anymore. Cable is not a thing anymore. What do you call it? I don't know, an independent network. These are not people who are beholden like to the laws of propriety that ruled animated studios in our time. So in this show, this Harley Quinn show, there is violence and drug use and sex. Like, that's a thing because, like, it's not a show for kids, it's a show for grown people. At one point in the making of this show for season 3, Batman performs cunnilingus. Okay, do you know what I'm saying here? He's having the old taco salad, he's going downtown, he's meeting with Miss Kitty on Catwoman. right? He's
Right.
performing
Yeah.
oral sex on Catwoman.
Yeah.
Allegedly, and they've not denied it. They've not denied it. Um, DC saw this and was like, absolutely not.
Right.
Batman cannot go down on Catwoman. And the showmakers were like, why not? We're not showing anything at all. You got Catwoman, you got her pelvis, you got her knees, you got Batman's head handles. That's all you see. It's not like
Yeah.
filthy
It's
or
not like a
anything.
cartoon porno or something. It's just a
No, no, no,
suggestion.
no. Just a suggestion. Here's what they said, though. They said that they can't do that because heroes don't do that.
Yeah. That's
Shocking.
that's a line that's really been haunting them across the internet now for at least a solid week.
But it's the same thing as Frogman Jr. getting all pissed off about Sam and Frodo doing the nasty. This idea that heroes don't do that because we as people project onto our heroes. Tolkien and like DC and Marvel, those people have written the mythology of our culture. These are our demigods. This is who we idolize. This is who we aspire to be. And the idea that those people cannot be queer, the idea that those people don't eat pussy. What? Why? What is it about going down that is so offensive or demeaning or vile? Because they've showed in animated series and definitely in Marvel and DC, whatever they have shown and implied, ton like sexual stuff up the wazoo, up the old derriere, just like Sam and Frodo.
Yeah.
So the question is, what was it about this particular act that was so fiercely vile? I have been taking an informal poll as to whether or not we believe that Batman does in fact eat pussy. So far, the results are somewhere between yes, of course, Batman eats pussy. That's not anybody else's business to tell anybody. Like, he's the Dark Knight. Absolutely. He's had his handles on it. Why not? And absolutely not because Bruce Wayne is a spoilt rich kid and not even like there's a lot of controversy around Batman to begin with because Batman is a billionaire and
Mm.
like billionaires are not super in favor right now.
Right. Right. Especially ones that hoard their wealth and run around punching criminals.
Right. Like he's just a guy who likes to get dressed up like a bat and beat up poor people. Like what? Maybe, I don't know, start a food bank fucking guy. So those are the questions, but it's not a light question because like that is a lot about feminism and about the patriarchy, the idea that these people who decide and dictate like what our gods more or less do are not the kind of people who are going to bother to like focus on a woman's sexual pleasure. I thought is a very, very interesting question. This whole time, these people, this whole time, none of those people, not Thor, right? Not Superman. You're telling me Wonder Woman never had Superman eating the kitty? Bullshit. Bullshit. She was an Amazon. There's no way that didn't know. That's a lie. It's a lie. And if Batman told everybody else on the Justice League that he didn't eat pussy, Wonder Woman would have kicked his ass. There's just no way on earth I think that's true. So here's the other
Well,
thing too.
something interesting that I thought, and you shared this, I think it's whether he does or not, it might depend a little bit on which version of the Batman we're talking about. Like
That's true.
1966 Adam West Batman, I would say probably actually.
I mean,
Ben Affleck,
yeah,
maybe. Christian Bale, probably not. Seems like he's a
no
dick.
way. Yeah, I don't think Val Kilmer did either, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I think Michael Keaton almost certainly did. He
Yeah,
seems like the
yeah,
kind of guy who's down for whatever. I believe
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, I think that, yeah, definitely Adam West did. Do you know Adam West famously was invited to like every orgy in Hollywood as long as he showed up in costume?
I
That's
bet
true.
it was the
That is
60s,
true. Yep, he did all kinds of freaky shit. There's no way. There's no way he skipped that part. Yeah, I think probably most of the Batman did. But the question of whether or not the canonical Batman did
Yeah.
or didn't is an important one. And it's important to point out that that distinction, whether or not you would perform cunnilingus, is not a question that holds up for villains because there's like if you're somebody who reads a lot of comic books, especially the classic ones, there's absolutely 100% in print evidence that villains do eat pussy. So how does that work? What are you doing? Are you just trying to make us horny on main for villains? What are you trying to say? That Batman is boring and vanilla? Is that what you really want from your heroes? That sounds awful. Nobody wants that. I want to believe that Batman has a whole sex dungeon. I want to believe he has just cabinets full of the most expensive and luxurious dildos you've ever seen in your life. He's a billionaire. Give me a break. Not only do I think Batman eats pussy, I think Batman has machines that eat pussy for him. I think that he has a whole elaborate pussy eating setup because he's a billionaire. Why would you not do that? If I if I was a billionaire, there would be mechanisms in place. That's all I'm trying to say. That's how I feel
Yeah.
about it.
Something else that I saw that you shared, and I think this is really important to the story too, is this so fucked up that DC will do storylines where people are sexually assaulted. They got no problem with having
Yeah,
lots of violence in their
yeah,
comics. But when it comes to a case of like nudity or people enjoying sexuality, then it's a
yeah,
big no-no.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
just says it's a very sad commentary, I think, not just on the comic industry, but society in general, where violence is
Right,
absolutely acceptable, but sex
right.
is just wrong and nasty
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. And remember too, in so many iterations of the Batman storyline, Catwoman was a sex worker. Not every Selena Kyle was a sex worker, but in more than one storyline, she was a sex worker. So you
Hmm.
know that like that implies heavily that she did many, many things sexually, but but she's not gonna get her pussy ate. What the hell is that about? Like that's just not it's so uneven, it's so poorly distributed. And pretty much every female villain character, their backstory, and this is not just true in comic books, but in so much fiction, has to do with some form of sexual violence, some form of sexual abuse, and that's why they're a villain now. That's why they're a villain. But there's never any male characters who like that's not a thing. And in Harley Quinn especially and specifically, the whole last couple of years of the storyline of Harley Quinn in the comic books was about her super abusive relationship with the Joker.
Yeah.
And he like assaulted her on a number of occasions, which they illustrated in detail, and like is bad. It's pretty bad. So yeah, exactly. I don't get it. And a lot of like it says a lot about what they think about female comic book fans too. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those things just where they still think that women don't like comic books. Like, give me a break, man. Pretty sure everybody has wanted to be Catwoman at some point in time. And I'm pretty sure if you wanted to be Catwoman ever, you definitely wanted to get it on with Batman just a little bit. It's cool. We can admit that now. We're grown-ups. And if that's the case, you have to think that at some point everybody wanted to get out by fucking Batman. And you're going to take that away from those people? Why? Why? Let them have it just as a treat. Just let them have it as a treat. Come on.
Yeah, it's strange, especially with this show, because it's adult orientated. There's adult humor in it, so
Sure.
I don't see why that would be an issue at
Yeah,
all.
I don't get it. I don't get except for the thing that they said, which is that heroes don't do that because heroes don't do that. And I'm curious. I had seen that, and I didn't verify its validity or not. That DC had put out a statement that was essentially to the effect of, our bad. Of course, Batman, eats pussy or whatever. I don't know if that was real life or not, but surely they have some damage to control to do at this point. Like, don't you think?
It's gotten quite a reaction. I mean, not just your regular folks on the internet commenting on him about it, but like Zack Snyder tweeted something out
Yeah,
about this, and like other like famous people have weighed in on this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it is a huge conversation, which I'm sure wasn't their intention. But it is now. So now they have to deal
Yeah.
with it, and they look kind of ridiculous. So
You know what's outstanding about this is that now in the next Batman movie and the next DC Justice whatever, they're going to have to put a cunnilingus scene, and it's going to have to be obvious. It's the only way they can clean this up. And I'm really excited to see who they pick, because it's going to have to be somebody big, either Batman himself or else like what, Superman.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody as important as Batman. I don't know.
Well, they wrapped. There is a movie coming out called The Batman, and it has Robert Pattinson, the dude from Twilight, is playing Batman.
Do you
And
think Robert Pattinson got an emergency phone call at like 2
yeah,
o'clock in the
yeah, they're
morning?
like they wrap filming on this, but it's not out. So I'm sure they're like, okay, we got to do one more scene actually.
Right.
And
They were like,
Catwoman is in the movie. She is
yeah.
being played by Zoe Kravitz, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
They were
So
like, Robert, get over here, bring your chapstick and your dental floss. We need you on set fucking stat. 100% that happened. I'm so excited.
well, we'll see. The movie comes out next year, I think. So
Outstanding. Yep, they did it. I believe it. Because Robert Pattinson for sure eats pussy. Robert Pattinson goes in the front door, the back door. He'll find an extra door. He doesn't even get a damn. 112%. He has a straight up reek. I love that about him. I'm so glad we covered this in depth and gave it the attention it deserved.
it qualifies as a weird story, and it's sad that it's weird. It should be like a normal, like, oh, this is what happens between consenting adults. So
Right. But
but
like
someone had to make a big deal out of it.
5 years ago, this would not have even been a conversation that you could have had. You could not have even gone on any media platform and been like, "Does Batman eat pussy?" Like you just couldn't have done that. So the fact that we're even having the conversation
Yeah.
is progress, and I respect that.
Cool. All right. Do you have more to say on this matter?
I better not. You think I'm good? Just kidding.
Oh yeah. By the way, maybe we should say there's explicit language in this podcast. I guess it's too late
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It should be T's weird fucking week is what it should be. We cuss a lot and we talk about eating pussy. Sorry. Also Bigfoot or whatever. Okay, what else? What else happened this week?
This is another classic character. We talked about Ed and Lorraine Warren last week, I think, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a guy, you know him. He's Uri Geller, and he has the ability to bend spoons with his mind. That's what he claimed in the 70s and 80s.
Okay, yeah.
But he loves attention, and he's good at getting it. So his most recent thing was there was a big football match, and by football I mean what Americans call soccer, and it was England versus Scotland, and people were apparently, very worked up about this match because it was a big one.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, here comes Uri Geller, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna use my powers to move the ball, and Scotland will win the game."
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen. The score for that match was 0-0. England had the better record, and so they were moving on. However, Scotland is not. Thanks for nothing, Uri Geller. At least that's my understanding of it. I'm sure some football hooligan might correct me about this, but my understanding is the score was 0-0, but England made out in that because they had a better record than Scotland did.
Doesn't seem fair, really. I don't like that. My favorite part of this story in reading it was that Uri Geller apparently he believes he's under the impression that he was the deciding factor in a soccer match in 1998
years ago, right?
Because he was an England fan and he felt so guilty about it and apparently received 11,000 death threats. He felt so guilty about it that he moved to Scotland and bought an island called Lamb Island and swore that if Scotland was ever up against England again, that he would use his magical powers to make sure that Scotland won this time. Well, he didn't say he was going to make sure they won. he said he was going to use his powers to help them. So technically speaking, I mean, you don't know. They could have gotten their asses handed if Yuri wasn't there. Anything could have. Wisconsin.
Yeah, I just put up the Wisconsin, Scotland, or
Oh,
Florida banner because it does involve in Scotland.
yep, yep, it happened. Also, the Scots and the English traditionally don't they don't get along. I don't know if you know that. They hate
Yes.
each other. It's been several hundred years. It doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. But I believe that the Scottish people probably were like, "Fuck you, Yuri."
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I,
that's another thing he did to make this even more offensive is he posted on his social media an image of him, and he had like the brave heart blue face paint, like he was going. He was what was his name? William Wallace leading the Scots to victory against the English. I was like, all right, dude.
sure.
All right, dude.
Yeah, you remember we were just you remember Polly Shore? You remember that dude?
Oh yeah.
He was the Weasel. He's currently petitioning Disney to do a remake or a sequel or something to the famous movie from 1994, Encino Man. Remember that
Yeah.
shit? Had Brendan
Sure.
Fraser in it and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he wants out of his life or whatever, which I almost kind of hope happens because I have a great deal of love for Brendan Fraser. He's been through a
Yeah.
lot, God bless him.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, Pauly Shore, who had more or less disappeared, called Pauly Shore's Dead, where he faked his own death in an attempt to regain his celebrity and then made a documentary about it. Remember that? It happened in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
This
see it, but I
kind
remember that happening.
It did happen. I've also not seen Pauly Shore is Dead, but I'm going to because now that I know it exists, I feel it's my moral obligation to participate. That kind of feels what like our pal Yuri is doing, just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And so before this, he did pop up again. I know. Remember when that big shipping ship filled with containers got stuck in the Suez Canal?
Yes.
He also claims that using his mental powers, he was the one who helped unblock that
Poor pal.
jam, and that he was one of the reasons that that container ship got unstuck.
I think
Which
that's great, and I'm thanks. Thanks, Yuri. I mean, okay, we're sitting over here laughing, but we don't know. Like, what if Yuri actually legitimately has superpowers? What if he's sitting at home right now, willing a jar of pickles to fly into his hands and feeling very unappreciated of all the things that he has done? We don't know. Just keep up the good work, Yuri. Just I don't know, keep at it. You're the hero we deserve. Unless you eat pussy, I guess, in which case, fuck you, and you're nobody to us. You're dead to us. Christ. I'm still so, I'm still so mad about that. I'm mad about it. Let's see what else happened this week. There was that. Oh, yep. There was that nail technician in the Ukraine who chained herself to her boyfriend.
oh
Here-
yeah.
Here's the thing I love about that story, okay, is that she and this guy, I don't remember what his name are, they were in a relationship with each other, been dating for a couple of months, and their relation it was on the rocks. It was already on the rocks. And for some reason, they believed, and reading this article, it seems more like she believed it and he went along with it for some goddamn reason, that they would be better off if they chained themselves to each other. So they got chained at the wrist for 3 straight months. She ended up having to quit her job because she had to drag this poor bastard with her everywhere she went, and she was a beauty technician. It was making her clients very uncomfortable. She said it was making her clients uncomfortable to have a man there. I think it was making her clients uncomfortable because they knew that the person who had pointy objects near their face was a goddamned crazy person who was chained to their boyfriend. That's just my personal opinion. They did ultimately end up getting split up. They said it was like the worst experience of their lives. She said it because the story is all about her. And then her boyfriend was like, I just think that we are on different wavelengths. Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna go real quick. At least they figured it out. You know, that's true. At least the worst thing that happened, Shane, is that they chained themselves to each other for 3 months, didn't get married, have a mortgage, and 4 kids. This is way better than how a lot of relationships end, and I'm happy for them. I just think like
Such a terrible idea.
it's even if you really like somebody,
Yeah.
like if you really, really enjoy somebody, I think after being chained to them for 3 months, I wouldn't ever want to see them again. I'd be like, no, get out of my personal space forever. Forever.
Everyone needs some privacy, once in a
Yeah.
while. So you can't have any privacy at all to like go
No.
to the bathroom or pick your
Right.
nose or
Right. Exactly. Or anything. It's just so terrible. I don't
or
know. I'm
chill out and read a book by yourself, if you're
right.
handcuffed to someone.
Chill out, read a book, bend spoons with your mind, do whatever it is you do in your spare time. Like,
Read
I don't
Batman
know.
comics, yeah.
Read Batman comics. Come on, dude. I don't know. I'm a separate bedroom person even. So like the idea of being chained to another person is like absolutely abhorrent to me, but like I just can't imagine that ever working out. And this woman specifically sounds like a goddamned nightmare. And like generally speaking, as a person with like a vagina raised as a like woman person in this society, I tend to sympathize with women and their plights and their issues. But honestly, this bitch sounded like she was just totally the most selfish, awful person in the world, and I feel incredibly bad for this poor man. And I'm really glad that he escaped. I'm glad. Just run. Don't stop at the borders of Ukraine. Run all the way to France. Get as far away from that fucking person as you can because she's crazy.
No, this happened in
And
Ukraine, you said?
in Ukraine.
Okay, so this banner, I'm feeling that soon, not yet. We got this banner, Wisconsin, Scotland, or Florida. But
Right.
remember the woman who crushed the watermelons and broke the record?
With her
She,
thighs.
yes, she broke a
Yeah.
Ukrainian record.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that that was a Ukrainian story too, those people who were raising that bear that they found in the woods.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? The Ukraine is not unlike Wisconsin, actually, in a lot of ways. I can see how they could make it to the banner. Let's keep our eyes on that. Let's keep our eyes on the Ukraine. Stuff's going on there. I don't know. What else happened this week to you? What's going on?
I don't know if I have any more stories. Did you have another story?
Oh,
I thought you had one more.
I do have one more. The one more that I have is about the Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah.
The Foo Fighters. I love them so much. The Foo Fighters have recently released an album called Hail Satin. On the A side of this album, on the B side, it's songs from their last run as the Foo Fighters. But on the A side of this album, it is them covering songs by the Bee Gees as their disco alter persona, the DGs. And I love it. There's all these pictures of them cosplaying essentially as the Bee Gees with long hair and the big butterfly collar shirts and the super tight pants. And it's fucking awesome. It's so good. I want more bands to do this. You remember, God, this is about a million years ago, Garth Brooks. Garth
Okay.
Brooks famously did this thing where he came up with this shadow persona that was supposed to be this emo badass character that
Huh.
wasn't Garth Brooks, but it was Garth Brooks. He released 2 albums as this character who everybody knew was Garth Brooks. It's not like it was some secret Batman shit or whatever. Like they knew it was him. I think part of the reason it didn't go over super well is because Garth Brooks as like a super emo character kind of looked like when Spider-Man was supposed to be taken over by he
Oh,
just like
he was evil
his
Garth
ba-
Brooks.
his bangs were greasier was pretty much all that happened there. We were like, okay, whatever you say. But it was like it wasn't country music. It was like him switching genres. And in order to do this, he pulled a Hannah Montana and became this totally other person. Now, that flopped horribly, but I think it's a super cool idea. I think the world is ready, and I'm super duper excited about it. Who else should do that? I think there's a couple of other bands that would do a really good job of just becoming totally different kind of musicians. I think that would be super neat. Like, I think, didn't Kanye West put out a gospel album too a
Yeah.
while ago?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's kind of odd.
I know like Green Day had a persona where they did more of like a pop thing, like a 50s pop album under a different
Did
name.
they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what do you remember what it's called? What was it called?
It's someone's got to help me out here out there. It was Fox Trot something or other, but
What was
it was like a, you know, it sounded like they played like 50s style bubblegum pop, you know,
That's
like
adorable. Oh
yeah.
my God, I love it to death. That's so fan. I want Guar to like totally flip it and like come out with like a pop album, but still dressed as Guar, but like it'll sound like Backstreet Boys. I think that would be super fun and cute. I'd love that. Who else would be a good one? I don't know. I'm so dated. I don't know any of the cool people making cool music anymore.
Here, Shane says something. He says, "Well, I'd suggest Faith No More or Primus, but they've kind of already done that as part of their style."
That's true. Because like Primus is already super weird and bizarro anyway, and that's just a thing that's gonna happen. So yeah, I don't know how much weirder they could possibly get. But maybe, but maybe I could see that. I'd like to see a really serious heavy metal band, like some super dark death metal band, do like a Pee Wee Herman themed persona. I think that would be neat. I always thought Pee Wee Herman would be awesome as a metal thrasher. That'd be super cool.
By the way, our sound person, Android 138, he is a big Guar fan.
Is he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a big Guar fan.
Me too,
And
Andrew.
I just saw that they're coming to town in
Shut the
November.
fuck up.
Yep,
Really?
they're on tour with Napalm Death, and they're coming here for
Do
Guar
you
Napalm Death.
do you think we could talk? Do you think we could talk to Guar? We could talk to Guar. Come on, you got the media chops. We could get some
Yeah.
passes. We could
Oh,
talk to
sure.
Guar.
We
We
can
got to
figure
talk
it
to
out. Yeah.
Guar.
Yeah.
What if T? What if we did like a ghost hunt with Guar? Ah! Andrew, right? That sounds fun. We're gonna bring the best of everything together. It's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna take you guys out for drinks. Stay in costume. We're gonna do a ghost hunt. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yes.
they
Oh,
can try to shoot the ghosts with like this these big cannon shooting slime and shit. Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. This is the best idea. We have such good ideas on this show all the time. Like we're just amazing at it. Oh my God, what else is going on? Well, we should talk. Oh, that was the other thing that we needed. Yeah, that's Shane. Exactly. I think we should get all the, what are our fans called? Do
Shane
our
says
fans,
Guar and Milwaukee. Oh hell yes, says
I,
Shane.
I think that we should get all of the super duper fans. Right. Shane, you would love to see them doing a ghost hunt in Milwaukee. Wouldn't that be fun? We would have to do it in a big open space. Like it would have to be someplace where there's plenty of room. Um, we should like get all of the people, all the T's Weird Week buddy pal. Do they do they have a name? Do our
Uh,
fans have a name?
we
Like
gotta think of one.
I think we got to think of one. I think we got to take a poll, you guys. If we could get everybody together like on a bus and go see Guar, I think that would be the funnest in the world, and we should definitely try and do that. Just
Hell
saying.
yeah.
Just saying this thing. Oh, the other story that we were going to talk about was the UFO sighting that happened.
Oh yeah. You shared that link and I did not see it, but I'm very
Yeah.
excited. That we've got another UFO sighting
hmm
here in Wisconsin. We have a
hmm
long history of UFO sightings.
Yep.
And after we talk about the story, they'll lead nicely into we can talk about some upcoming events that we have.
Yeah.
But
So
tell us about the sighting. Yeah.
this sighting happened in Montello, Wisconsin, which is up north of here.
hmm
I mean, most everything's up north of Milwaukee, I guess. What's important to note is that outside of there being a long history of UFO sightings in Wisconsin, Wisconsin actually has one of the highest concentrations of UFO sightings in the country, which is a thing I did not know until just recently. Um, And there's not that many, like Wisconsin outside of Milwaukee and Madison, like here and there, like there's a lot of empty space in Wisconsin. There's a lot of itty bitty towns with no other towns around for miles and miles and miles. So the fact that we have so many UFO sightings is actually kind of a big deal. Because who the fuck's even seeing these things? They're probably there every single night. Every single night. There's been a rash of sightings in the Montello area, and in the area out by the Driftless this year and last year. Now, fair, people were home a lot because we had quarantine and it was, whatever. And saying that, people were bored, and I'm sure there were plenty of things that weren't UFOs that were identified as UFOs by people who were under stress and stuck at home. But this particular sighting in Montello, along with several others, like a half a dozen others that have happened in the last 6 months, it was recorded. Like if you follow the link that I posted on T's Weird Week, it will take you to YouTube where you can see this sighting, and it's pretty compelling. Like, I don't know. I guess they could fake that. Like, technology is really easily accessible now to people, but why? Why would they fake it? It's I don't know, it looks pretty real to me. Just saying. So that's a thing that's going on. Keep your eyes to the skies, kids, because
Yeah.
apparently they walk among us and they like cheese curds because they've been here for a bunch.
Cool. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this, if you look in the show notes under this podcast episode, I will include a link to that article that Heidi just mentioned.
Yeah. what you guys
Cool.
don't what you guys don't know, or no, you do know, we've talked about it so far. We have talked about it. Is that this is not the first UFO that's been seen in Wisconsin, and that there's one place in Wisconsin. What is the name? What is the name of the town that they're in? That Branson's is in, or Benson's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is exciting. Yeah. So next month, I'm excited to go to this because I've heard about this event before, but I've never been to it. Benson's Hideaway is a bar that is in Dundee, which
There you
is
go.
right near Campbellsport.
Hmm.
I think it's like right on the border between this, town or former town and Campbellsport, which I kind of know where that is. But it's this bar is right next to a lake called Long Lake, and there has been a series of UFO sightings above this lake. And so Benson's has an annual event, which is the second or third Saturday of the month. It's July 17th this year, and it's called UFO Days, and it's pretty much just people hanging out, drinking beer, talking about UFOs. They have some guest speakers sometimes, and it's just a small town Wisconsin event, but it's UFO themed.
Apparently Benson's Hideaway and Benson's Hideaway Campground is UFO themed all the time. It's
Hmm.
not just during UFO days. You
Right.
can go to Benson's Hideaway whenever you want to and have UFO themed cocktails and probably what? An ET burger. I don't know.
Yes.
I have
Right.
never been to Benson's Hideaway. All I
Mhm.
know for sure is that this is going to be a fucking riot, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it to happen. I am going to camp. That is for sure. I'm going to camp on Long Lake and be out there looking for UFOs, drinking outer space old fashioned. It's happening. It's going on. And
Nice.
we're gonna like be covering this, obviously. We'll be talking to people. But we might be live casting it too. That might be a real thing that really happens.
Oh,
It's
sure.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll
yeah.
get some audio. We'll shoot some short videos while we're there,
Mhm.
and get some pictures, of course. Also, if people are curious, a Milwaukee filmmaking legend Mark Borchardt, he shot a short documentary about UFO days. It's called The Dundee Project. It's a documentary. It's about 17 minutes long, and you can find that online. You can rent it online. But he sort of compiled this after going over several different summers and interviewing some of the people that go there, like UFO Bob. Seems like an interesting guy. Uh,
Okay.
I contacted Mark to see if he would be hanging out there this year. He says he's laying low this summer, but the documentary definitely gives you a little bit of a glimpse into what to expect, and what to expect is some good old fashioned Wisconsin craziness. So
Absolutely fantastic. I'd like to remind everybody watching or listening also once again that if you grew up in the Midwest anywhere and you are aware of some weird shenanigans that went on in your hometown or the town you're living in right now, and you want us to come check it out and talk about it, you just go ahead and message us on the Facebook page around here, and we will go to there. We will go to there. We will check it out, I swear. Haunted houses, haunted roads, UFOs, Sasquatch, lizard people, whatever. Like, holler at us. We're into it. We'll go. We'll go.
here's
Oh,
another message from Shane. He says, "Hell, I lived up north near Adams/Friendship, and a friend of mine and I saw something odd, but not super remarkable. That was in 2000, in the year 2000."
in the year 2000. What was it, Shane? Are you going to tell us, Shane? Is this a private message thing, Shane? I think it probably is. I know that, like, I've always wanted to go to Crandon. Have you ever been to Crandon?
No, I've heard of the mines there, the Crandon mines. There was some
Crandon,
protests over development of those,
yeah,
but I don't know
Crandon is a
anything else
mining
about it.
town. It's one of those places that where just a lot of super weird things happen, and it's supposed to be very, very haunted all the way into Crandon. But the thing about Crandon that's super interesting is that it has a surprisingly high incident of mass murders. For a tiny little town in Wisconsin, there are at least 3 on record, including the last one where somebody like just went bonkers and like killed 7 people randomly. So it's supposed to be an interesting and odd place, and I would like to go and check it out. I had friends that went up there some years ago, and the trip they took in the middle of the night, the back roads going up to Crandon, that there was something in the woods that was keeping pace with their car.
Wow.
Yeah, so kind of interested to know what's going on in Crandon. It's that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's 100 stories out there throughout Wisconsin and the Midwest in general. And I mean, of course, the world, but we're especially interested in places that we can drive and check out here in the Midwest.
Yeah,
So,
unless you want to fly us to, like, I don't know, France or whatever. If you got some shit we have to see in France and you're willing to take us out there, we'll make an exception for you. You're welcome.
yeah. Cool. So we're going to be at UFO Days again. That's July 17th at Benson's Hideaway. It's free and open to the public. So hope to see you there. And I'm sure we're going to talk more about Wisconsin UFOs and this event between now and then.
Yeah.
But I also just want to give people a reminder, if you're watching now live, or if you're listening to this right when the podcast comes out on Friday, we're going to be at the Midwest Haunters Convention this Saturday and Sunday. You can find more information and tickets at their website, MidwestHauntersConvention.com. But Milwaukee Paranormal Conference is going to have a table on the vendor floor, and we're going to be hanging out as well, interviewing some people, checking stuff out, and getting some material for our podcast next week.
Yeah. That's going to be good fun.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're going to try and take some of those seminars too, right? I want to figure out how to make a really realistic corpse. I think that's important.
Yes. And I'm very curious about the seminar about de-escalating people that are going crazy with anger or fear inside of your haunted house.
Also great information. That's life-saving skills right there, bud. Oh,
yes. Yeah, they got
yeah.
This event has seminars, the vendor floor, which is huge and has a lot of state-of-the-art haunted attraction stuff. But also doing a makeup contest. They have a costume contest at a party Saturday night.
That's gonna be so cool.
And there'll just be a ton of interesting people walking around there, I'm sure.
I bet. Oh, man. Okay, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be super great. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. A lot of good stuff coming up. Okay. So I think that's all the stories and news that we have for you. Check out tcrulos.com. You can listen to our former episodes. We hope to see you at the Midwest Haunters Convention, UFO Days, tons of cool shit going on this summer and fall. So, we're excited to be out there.
Yeah. See you guys out there.
Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you later.
Bye, kids.